You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis, and today we are playing champion wrestler Jikkyou live, and we're going to find out how this game holds up. Is it going to get a play it forever? Woo! Or a future endeavor?
You're fired!
We are also discussing our favorite Wrestlemania branded games, as we are now on the other side of the biggest wrestling event of the year, and I can't wait to talk about it.
And don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod, and check out the exclusive content we're creating for our Patreon at patreon.com/GameMarksPod. And speaking of today, if you are a part of the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast Patreon group, our Discord is free to join for the full week. But Georgie, what's up? How you doing?
What? Who the hell approved that?
You did.
I did. It was a good idea. John had a good idea and said, hey, what do you think about doing this? So we can have more people that can be a part of our group. And I said that's a great idea.
But hey, WrestleMania. We're at WrestleMania season. At the time of recording, we have to say it's Sunday, so you're on the other side of WrestleMania right now. We're still in the middle. We watched night one last night, which kind of blew me away. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. I mean, match of the night had to be Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, hands down.
Oh, yeah.
They threw it all out there, and it was incredible.
My wife walked by one time and just said, "When did Haley Williams become a wrestler?" And
yeah.
That was the pop of the night for me.
Yep. I mean, do we spoil it? But that I'm out of a podcasting job.
I mean, my condolences to your podcast. But hey, it could come back.
The Everything But Wrestling and Johnny podcast. We'll leave it at that. But good event. I'm looking forward to tonight. Specifically, Roman and Brock. They've been building that one a while. It could really go either way. So I'm not sure. I'm expecting. This is going to be documented now since we're recording it. I'm expecting a Randy Orton heel turn on Riddle. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like that's run its course.
I was also thinking that. So what about Edge and AJ Styles? I mean,
yes, that's the one.
I'm sure that
we didn't talk about Edge's new music.
I love it.
I think everyone loves it. I think if you're going to replace Metalingus with Edge's new character, you got to keep Alter Bridge. The intro, you're kind of like, oh, they gave him something generic, but then I don't remember the actual name of the Alter Bridge song. It picks up, you're like, oh, yeah, this works. I mean, he did have that music since what, like 2008?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, it's definitely the end of an era for sure. But I mean, if you're going to replace it, like you said, replace it with the same band.
But you know what? One day when he comes back out to Metalingus in the future, which is crazy because like his career was over and now it's back, then we'll pop again. But all right, last week, WWE SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth. Both of us gave it a play it forever, as we should. I still feel like this is one of the sleeper games in the SmackDown series that's overshadowed by Here Comes the Pain, because that game was even better. But I think for roster, for gameplay, for the season mode, I'm full on to Shut Your Mouth here.
Oh, absolutely. And I have played the game this last week, so I continued playing through it. Just, the match aspects and the animations of the Hell in the Cell are just hilarious. I mean, watch the playthrough if you haven't already on our YouTube channel. It is, the animations are so good. Do yourself a favor. If you haven't, or if you have, but it's been a long time, go back, replay SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. It's worth it.
Simpler times, simpler controls. It was just so easy to pick it up, tell a friend like, okay, triangles run, do this, do that, do that. Finishers L1 done. And I think the way that they are heading, it's not there yet, but I think we're heading back to the simpler controls, and it's not so complicated with the lift and the carry system. And 2K22 is kind of the start of like simplifying and just saying, okay, let's make this what it once was. And I'm still getting used to the controls. There's still stuff I have to pause and look up, but I've been having a lot of fun. Did some universe mode, had some glitches happen, but Supercard.
Told me about those.
Well, now I guess I have to explain it. So the match was me and Swerve versus Imperium, all three of them. So it was a handicap match. For some reason, this is my first match in universe mode. I chose NXT. So the match starts, and it's a cutscene of Imperium, me and Walter in the ring. I could still say Walter because he's still Walter in the game. And Swerve comes out with nobody, but like the camera's pointing where as if he should have a partner, which I know it should be me, but somehow it got swapped. They enter the ring, they get attacked from behind, and like the ropes open for an invisible man. So his partner's John Cena. And then the match starts, and it's me and Swerve versus just Walter and the rest of Imperium's I don't even know their names. They're just standing outside the ring. They don't ever get on the apron. So now when I tag Swerve in, he goes straight for those guys. He doesn't attack Walter at all. He's almost getting counted out. I have to keep putting Walter in and out of the ring. I had to make the tag. It was really, really awkward. But then once I got to like the second and third match, it was better. So I think just the first match had a little snafu in there, but it was entertaining. It was still fun. Still fun to play the game. I'm still into it. I still haven't played My Rise or the showcase mode because I'm waiting to do it with all you.
Yeah, I'm still working on my Creator Wrestler. Downloaded the Johnny Clash. Johnny Clash Wrestler looks great.
Good moveset too, right?
I also, for some reason, I was like, oh, John seems to be having some issues updating the render. I'll do it. I made a render. I uploaded it to my game. I also can't share it.
So when I go to upload it, it takes me through the upload. I put in the hashtags and all that, but then the preview screen is actually like the Sting Scorpion from his gear. So I don't know. Maybe I have to do another one, or it's just a game. I don't know. Either way,
I'm gonna go with it's just the game.
Yeah, it's probably just a game. I'll add another one, see what happens. All right, but WWE Supercard revealed WrestleMania 38 cards. They look incredible. There's more than 70 of them. We got right in front of us Roman, Bayley, and Randy Orton. They got the WrestleMania logo, a nice kind of like eagle, like golden eagle wrap around, like the old belt.
Yeah,
looks pretty cool. Again, Supercard's not my cup of tea. I have it. I sometimes go and dabble in it, but it's not really something I'm too into.
Yeah, it's got those spurs. It's like a big Texan belt.
Yeah.
Dallas.
Because Dallas.
But
WrestleMania season is winding down. What's next? SummerSlam? Survivor Series.
Well, no,
SummerSlam.
As you're listening to this, if you're listening to this on Monday, the next big event is the Raw after Mania. That's the next big thing.
Yeah. I'm saying like big pay-per-view, like outdoor arena-wise, probably SummerSlam.
Yeah, it's SummerSlam for sure. Unless they do what they've been doing over the last couple months, years, where they're just like, hey, guess what? This pay-per-view that used to, for the last 15 years has happened in this month is now not happening in this month. We're now moving it to this other month. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
February's pay-per-view could be Hell in a Cell. I don't know.
All right. But in the spirit of WrestleMania, I posted this on our social media yesterday, and I want to know your favorite WrestleMania themed game. That means WrestleMania in the title. There's WrestleMania Challenge, Super WrestleMania, Steel Cage Challenge, the arcade game, WrestleMania 2000. I mean, the list goes on and on. All the GameCube games, Legends of WrestleMania. Pick one. You can't go back and forth. I want you to pick your favorite WrestleMania game.
All right. So I mean, the list is stacked here. I mean, it's hard to really pick one. I'm torn between three right now.
I'm going to guess WrestleMania 2000.
Okay.
Super WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And original WrestleMania.
No,
I missed the last one.
You almost went 3 for 3. It is Super WrestleMania WrestleMania 2000 and the arcade game.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Man. Really, it's really just between Super WrestleMania and WrestleMania 2000, and I think I have to go with WrestleMania 2000.
I knew that was your cup of tea. See, I was more on the No Mercy side of those games.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be your answer when I said that, because we've talked about this a lot, both on and off the podcast. I'm trying to think of what... I have a guess of what yours is, but I want to hear...
So
what your top 3 is first.
Top 3, okay. So my top 3 are the arcade game 18 and 19.
Do that. Okay, I was right.
Yeah.
I was like, it's got to be 18 or 19.
And I wipe 18 out of that right away because 19 was obviously way better, and it has that really chaotic story that is available in our YouTube archives. I played through the whole thing as Shawn Michaels. Go check that out. It's chaos. You're throwing construction workers off of buildings and killing them. But
out of context, that just sounds like
WrestleMania the arcade game, I think, is like my all-time favorite wrestling game. So how could I not pick that here? So I'm going with that.
I mean, you got the poster on your wall.
It's right above me. I got Big Scott looking down on me right now.
There you go.
But we want to hear from you. Go find that post that I posted on Saturday afternoon and let us know your favorite WrestleMania themed game. But with that, we're done with WrestleMania. We're done with WWE for the day. Are we ready? Are we tiptoeing? Are we heading to that diving board?
I'm ready. Are you ready? Do you have your nostalgia goggles on? Are you ready to take the plunge? Because it's time for the deep dive. All right, champion wrestler Jikkyou Live, released February 16th, 1996 by Taito Corporation, also developed by Taito Corporation for the PlayStation 1. And in 1996, the other games that this one is competing with, you've got Fire Pro Wrestling Iron Slam 96, Super Fire Pro Wrestling X Premium, Fire Pro Wrestling S 6-Man Scramble, New Japan Pro Wrestling Tokan Retsuden 2, and WWF In Your House.
You know what's crazy? This is 96. 2 years later, we're getting Warzone, which is a whole different animal compared to all the games you just listed off.
Yeah, that's one of those games that is just I don't want to say it's a benchmark, but it's definitely the sign of when things got turned up to a whole other level. It brought the wrestling style of games into a more, because 3D wrestling games exist before this, obviously, or before that, but this is the one that really kind of gives it a more polished look, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that. But now this week's game, Jikkyou Live. First of all, that translates into live commentary. So to start off, Champion Wrestler was a 2D wrestling arcade game in 1989, also by Taito, whatever. It only had 10 wrestlers, and it included some of the company's like luminaries. And this is a PlayStation port a few years later of that game. And I think what they added to it, the bigger roster, the expanded moveset, it just kind of took it over the top. And it could be comparable to the Fire Pro series. Hopefully us playing this and talking about this game right now brings more light to this game, because I think it deserves it.
It is probably one of the stranger combinations of features. It's got, I mean, we talked a little bit about it, kind of setting it up, and I said it almost feels like it's got a Saturday Night Slam Masters feel to it, but also kind of has that graphic style of like a Super WrestleMania or something like that. But all of this is happening on the PlayStation 1, which it's just like a weird list of things that you would expect to be happening on the PlayStation 1, right. But it's something crazy.
It's something you could almost expect to see in 96 in like the bargain bin,
Yes.
But it didn't deserve to be there. It's one that you would find and be like, oh, okay, I'll check this out, and then end up loving it.
Yeah, I could not have said it better myself. That is the best way to describe this game.
Yeah, and this game obviously has, like we said, expanded roster. The intro to this game is incredible. It's a 3D rendered ring with the crowd, with pyro. So they did kind of upgrade it for 1996 as much as they could, which it looked great for 1996. Honestly, it looked incredible. But your game modes, you have a career where you try to win the TWF championship, and you could do that as singles or a tag team. You also have singles. You have a versus mode where you could play against a computer or a human, and you have tag matches, battle royals, and then of course, like most Japanese games, a big staple is the training mode, which we highly suggest you do in any game you're unfamiliar with, because they are there to help.
Yes. There is a level of familiarity when you play this game, but there is also things that make the game unique in its own way, both in play style, graphic style, and presentation. There were some things that were awesome. The one thing that I just popped into my head that I was just like, well, that's weird. The loading screen is literally the most basic loading screen they could have had. It's just a black screen with white text, and it just says now loading. There's nothing fancy about it. The logo of the game's not even on it.
I feel like that's just PlayStation.
I would say it's also a sign of the times. We got spoiled, especially coming off the game that we played last week.
Yeah, but this game goes more in depth than the games we're used to from this era. There's reversals, there's double reversals, there's double team moves. This might be the debut of one of our favorite things from No Mercy, which is the ching noise when you low blow someone. Because it's in here. It's in here, and I almost think the animation is more it's satisfying. Kick to the nuts and a ding.
Love it. Love it.
It makes you think, though, like No Mercy and all that. Like, we just know it as No Mercy. You know, it came from WrestleMania 2000, which came from Revenge, which came from blah, 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 blah. Where did they get their inspiration for all these games from? They had to have looked at old games. They had to have looked at games like this. Yeah. Right? And games before it. So you never know what they pulled from where, and it shows. But you even have, like, in this game, attributes like power, durability, speed, your technique, resilience, but finishing, maneuvers, big moves, everything's fluid. You have running, diagonal running, top rope. The ring itself looks beautiful. We'll get into that a little bit later, the visual presentation, but I don't know. I didn't expect this much for a PlayStation 1 game, which is a port of an arcade game from the 80s.
I was going to say, when you look at this game, you're like, what is this? What's happening here? Like, if you just look at videos of the game, or you look at screenshots of the game, or if you just look at the back cover of the artwork for the game, you're going to be like, this is a PlayStation 1 game? Like, what do you... Yeah. This graphic style does not belong on this system. But when you play it, you realize that it's a combination of that graphic style and like such a smooth, like a buttery smooth gameplay. Like, that's the only way that I could describe it. Every animation, every cut, every transition is just smooth, and like that pixel perfect, like 16-bit style graphic. Every part about it is just clean.
I think that's the best way to say it. Like, it's just clean. It's just smooth. Everything flows nicely. We didn't talk about the commentary. Oh, you have which it translates to live commentary. So you have actual commentary of an announcer calling out the moves, DDT, stomping, and brainbuster, and all that, which adds such like a good dynamic. Was there background music behind it? Or was it a crowd effect?
It's crowd effect, and
which I like so much better than the same over it.
Yes,
you know,
I give me more games that don't have just repetitive background music over and over again.
Yeah, we've played enough to know that we don't want that.
I want less of that and more good commentary and more of a realistic style crowd that reacts to the move. That was the other thing. The crowd reacts to what happens.
Yes,
there's cheers. Another callback to the AKI THQ series of games. There are two different pinning sounds. There's the regular 1, 2, 3, and then once you're further in and more damage has been done to over the course of the match, the second round of pinfalls is the crowd going crazy. And that's a big 1, 2, 3. Like,
Love it.
It's the same kind of effect that you get in a No Mercy or WrestleMania, anything in that AKI series, which is cool. It's something that really wasn't done, or that you would expect from these styles of games.
Right, but let's get into this roster. Let's talk about what we have here. Ooh. I have this broken down in rounds because I have it in order of the career mode and who you face in the one-on-one versus for the TWF Championship. There are 40. I'll take the first 20. You could take the second 20?
Sounds good.
All right. Your roster. You have Hayato, who is Hayabusa, Arajin, who is Sabu, Great Saratobi, who is the Great Sasuke, Black Mask, who is Black Tiger Mask, Super Orca, who is Super Delphin. That's who that was.
Oh.
W. Orion, who is Wild Pegasus, Cobra B. Duto, who is Tiger Jeet Singh, M. Ga Gutsushi, who is Abdullah the Butcher, Electric Beast Raiden, who is Jushin Thunder Liger. Somehow that makes sense. Hiroshi Mine, who is Hiroshi Hase. Maka Takanao is Masahiro Chono. That's who that was. That looked just like him. Kazuto Yamadan, who is Kazuha Yamazaki. Saiko Kayoka, who is Kensuke Sasaki. Asahi Tabato is Akira Tao. Kenji Kabura is Kenta Kabashi. Kazuhiki Takarada. See, like when it's not real names, I stumble because I know the real names now.
No, I love this.
Nobiko Takada.
This is a throwback to year one, and I'm here for it.
Akiyoshi Yoshihara, who is Yoshiaki Fujiwara. R. Stein is Rick Steiner. And
R.L. Stein?
S. Stein is Scott Steiner. And number 20, Corey Bosuba, who is Terry Gordy. You're in.
All right. Tag made. Here we go. Fujioka Dragon is Tatsumi Fujinami. Barry Neuron is Gary Albright. Toshiaki Kawabata is Toshiaki Kawada. Ryujiro Tenotori. Okay. Yeah, Tenotori is Genichiro Tenryu. Mosquitoes King is Riki Choshu. Shinya Chohan is Shinya Hashimoto. Dr. Willie.
Oh, that's
Steve
my dog.
Williams. Not Dr. Wily from Mega Man, Dr. Willie. Muto. I'll give you 8 seconds to guess who this is. It's the Great Muta. Gun Roshiki is Stan Hansen. H. Hanma is Hulk Hogan. Mitsuo Mikawa is Mitsuhara Misawa. Ace Hatoyama is Jumbo Tsuruta. Akira Todorikita is Akira Maeda.
Yep, perfect.
Yep. Super Iso Heta is Big Van Vader. A. Kishido is Dynamite Kid. The Puma is Tiger Mask. F. Rhodey is Bruiser Brody. Matterhorn H. Decker is Andre the Giant.
That was Andre.
What is that name? B. Arute Mitsui is Hoist Gracie. And J. Arute Mitsui is Rickson Gracie.
Easy for you to say. And those last few are actually hidden wrestlers you unlock after defeating the standard roster in championship mode. But okay, the cover of this game. Let's get into this here.
This is the part, John. What's happening? Tell the people at home what's happening right now.
He's enlarging it as I'm looking at it, and I got to keep scrolling on and off. Okay. So, very realistic for not a realistic looking wrestling game, which is always interesting because there's like paintings, I guess, like rendered paintings of these wrestlers because it's not the real wrestlers. I can't do that. But champion wrestler with the belt behind it. You got 2 wrestlers holding up a trophy who look like they could be the Steiner brothers. You then have a big bridging German suplex happening below it with a wrestling ring and 2 random faces of 2 random wrestlers looking left and right.
That got like a little Venom effect happening to them where it looks like they're getting taken over by Venom.
Oh yeah, look at that. But cool. Again, we say it every time. If it looks like a wrestling game, you're walking past it in the store, especially a game like this that's a re-release. It's something you would check out.
Yeah. I mean, this is... I hate to say this, but in the nicest way possible, it looks like a good generic wrestling game cover. Like, you look at the cover, you go, all right, I know what's happening here. But it's not like you've got, Hogan front and center or, Andre front and center. It's just like, hey, this is a wrestling game and you're going to see some familiar faces, but, maybe not their names.
Okay, now the back cover, it has screenshots here. There's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But there's
cover.
I'm assuming this is the commentator down below. And he has a speech bubble. So I have my translator.
Oh.
I need to know what he's saying.
We are going way back.
Okay, it just says featuring announcer Mr. Shigeru.
Oh.
Shigeru. Maybe he's the real aspect of this game, like they put him in there. Let's look it up.
That is, I mean, I'm sure that's great, and a lot of people got pumped about that, but like, I really expected that to be like a funny little one line, like a little
yeah. Yeah, I have no idea who that is. I can't find anything on that. So sure, maybe he was real. But let's get into the art style because we already touched on it. But you get the menu screen that I thought it was going to look like the Fire Pro screen, but it really doesn't. It's like an old school where you have the big animated version, like drawn out of the wrestler, and then you have the actual sprite underneath it.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a big discrepancy in the two.
The animated versions look dope. Well, because this is how I'm imagining it. The animated the render of the fighter is the entrance gear, and then the sprite is once they're actually in the ring. That's right. How I'm justifying, because everyone's got like their helmets on, or like their headgear on, or like their robes on, and then the sprites have no robe or anything like that on. Well,
obviously the big versions are more detailed also, and I feel sometimes when you pick someone like that and you're not getting like a preview of what it looks like, once you're in the match you're like, wait, which one am I?
Yeah.
So it's cool that it shows it. And also we figured out if you press left and right while in the screen, you change the gear color, and it's not just like one or two, like it goes on and on. You could have like 20 different color combinations.
Yeah. There's I think we saw someone that had like, I think it was like 6 or 8.
I just kept going with Liger. Like, I don't even think I looped around. I just kept pressing left, right. They just kept going.
A lot.
Yeah, but once we get into the match, the ring looks great. It's not the 3/4 turned ring that we're getting used to from all the Fire Pro games. It's a straight-on visual ring, but we said you could run diagonal. You got the announcers in the back. You have a cameraman that follows the action. At first, the actual camera of the game is a little confusing because it bounces around a lot as you move. It's not just zoomed out. It's pretty close up on the wrestlers, and it goes left and right, in and out. So that takes a while to get used to, but I think after a while, you don't even notice that it's happening.
And there's actually like...
it's like Kevin Dunn's producing it.
There's actually like like a good perspective. When you're talking about that diagonal running, if you're thrown into the closer corner, obviously your wrestler gets bigger, but if you're thrown into the farther corner, there's actually that perspective effect where the sprite of your wrestler gets smaller as it hits the corner, which I don't think I've ever really noticed in another game like this, but also I don't think another game has ever had like this, the combination of like this camera angle and this large of a ring, because the ring itself is pretty big.
It is, yeah.
And then the combination of the camera angle, the size of the ring, and then having the farther turnbuckles be so much smaller. Like the illusion that's created here with the size of this ring, this feels like it's the biggest ring ever.
Right. And also, one of our favorite things, the dimension of the crowd. This is one of the best crowds we've seen from this era.
What's your favorite sign?
Go.
Oh, you know what my favorite sign was?
Go.
You know what my favorite sign was?
What sign?
Go.
They were all waiting for Christian to come out.
Go.
Yeah, that worked the first time,
going.
I guess, right? Not again. Yeah, like when the crowd, like the front row is a little more visible, and gets blacked out as it goes back for dimension. My favorite part of the whole game was, did you know? Did you know after beating the World Championship mode in either singles or tag division, players can access their titles with the use of a memory card and put them on the line against a human opponent?
Did you know after completing championship mode in either singles or tag team division, 5 hidden wrestlers will now be selectable after the credits roll?
Did you know Jikkyou Live is available on eBay for $49.54, but $20 shipping from Japan? Surprisingly, there was only one available at the time. There are a few listings, but it says sold out, but this was the only one I saw that was actually still up there. Hopefully by the time of recording, there could be another one or two, and we'll keep checking.
Man, that's a hefty price for that game.
Yeah, it is. But there's also some unlocks other than those 5 hidden wrestlers. You could unlock an Antonio Inoki character. I don't know his actual name in the game here, but at the title screen you have to put in a code, and after you hear the sound effect, he actually takes over Fujioka Dragon, who is Tatsumi Fujinami, and you can no longer play as him, and Inoki takes his place. Now, the same thing happens with Retsuka Sada Sudo, and he takes over Kaiji Moto.
Now...
I'm sorry. He takes over the regular Muto and becomes Kaiji Muto.
Yes. Because I was going to say, the regular Muta has some crazy color combinations, and then Kaiji Muto just looks like a regular... They did really good with the likeness of the characters.
But you know what? This might be crazy. In real life, like watching wrestling, I always preferred Kaiji Muto to the Great Muta.
Which is strange considering who your favorite wrestler is.
Yeah, I'm nothing against Muta. I don't hate Muta at all. I like him, but I always enjoyed Kaiji Muto matches more.
I was going to say, the style is different. It's
a very different style. And I don't know. And once he got older, he was still able to be that persona and do what he could do. Yeah. I don't know. Just a little tidbit there.
It's an interesting little note of information that, I wonder...
No one needed to know?
Well, no, because I wonder if that's a conversation that we can open up for, a bigger discussion. We could. If you are a fan of the Great Muta and Kaiji Muto, do you have a preference, and why? Let us know. Social media.
Yeah, let us know. But, okay, this is obviously a Japanese game from 1996. We're not going to have many ratings and reviews here, but let's go through what we do have, which is the game FAQ user rating, Old Faithful in this situation, where the average user rating is a 3.5 out of 5 stars, which is considered good. The difficulty is a 5 out of 5. I don't know if these people are playing video games, unless we've just played too many where we just know the combinations and everything. And the length is a 1 out of 5, where people aren't playing this very much. They're kind of giving it a little one and done.
Well, I mean,
I could have kept going. We played through a bit, and I could have kept going.
But okay, so let me play devil's advocate here. It's an arcade port.
Yeah, you're not gonna sit there and play it.
It's not meant to be played long. Everyone's gonna have a different outlook on this game because now it's a home port. But it started as a arcade game. You're meant to. It's I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that length rating there.
No, but anyway, right now, George, do you know what time it is?
It is.
It's time to rate the game.
Would you look at that?
The game!
All right, I'm hitting you first. George Feis.
Don't hit me. Just answer the question.
Wrestler, Jikkyou Live. Will you play it forever? Woo! Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
I think that this game has just enough to make it unique and is a I don't know. I think we sold this game accurately. Is kind of a sleeper, and I think it's gonna get the old play it forever from me. Woo! Now, Johnny Clash,
okay.
I turn the question to you, champion wrestler Jikkyou Live. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
Play it forever. I'm actually sad that I'm not going to play it in future endeavor in the future because, I do want to play it again. But this just means I can play it whenever I want.
Yeah, you could just load it up.
Surprisingly surprised. We started this game up and we were like, oh, so it's kind of like Fire Pro. Is it going to be another ripoff? And then as we progressed, as we saw the double team moves, the reversals, the little cha-ching noise with the low blow, I think we were sold kind of right away. And the big moves, the finishers, everything, the announcers. Yeah, this game is definitely worth checking out if you've never heard of it. And I think a lot of our Discord was discussing they're waiting to see what we do to see if they're going to play it.
There's a difference in presentation here. This feels like, okay, I will say this. Gets to play it forever. There are two things that I wish we got. I wish we had entrances.
Okay.
Because that would have been nice, and I added to the overall presentation. And I wish that opening video showed wrestlers.
Yeah, it was an afterthought.
But other than that, man, the game itself, which is the important part in terms of the fun aspect of the game, that is literally the most important part. That excels. That was great.
We could have gotten like a WrestleFest type entrance, but by God, the sprites from the head-on position, like facing us, were so ugly. So ugly. So I'm glad they kept it all from a side perspective.
Yeah, there's
when you were getting pinned.
Pinnings, yeah.
Yeah, woof.
Not great.
All right, so we both gave it the double piff, but now is it time to enter the soft lock.
Don't say piff.
Final round. Fight!
All right, Soft Lock is a segment on this show where a Megamark gives us a topic, and John and I discuss, debate, have a conversation about that topic, and then we open up to you so you can also join in on the conversation, whether you are a part of our Discord that is now open for the next week, or you want to let us know your answers on social media. Johnny Clash, what is the topic for this week's Soft Lock, and who brought it to us?
All right, this one's from Tecker, and he asks, should new first-party games be released for free on gaming subscription services, or should they be separated out, making gamers pay full price upon release, or would it be better to do what has happened with movies, where the movie is released in theaters first, and then a short time later, released on demand? And go.
All right. I have stated multiple times on this podcast that a rule that I followed for a long time was download a ROM, play the ROM. If I like the game, I buy the game. And that's what I did for a long time for like the older games. Now, with the advent of services like PlayStation.
We're talking about new games.
Well, no, I'm saying now with the advent of services like PlayStation Now and the Xbox Live Arcade, you kind of get that. So I think I am in favor of what they do with PlayStation does with with Xbox does with the EA Play, where you can play the new Madden game for 10 hours and you get like a little trial. You know, You know what's crazy? It just popped into my head. You know what service used to do something like that? Do you remember Sega Channel?
No.
Okay, so
Sega Channel
back in the day was a service where certain like phone providers would run a cable line to this like special cartridge that you put in your Sega Genesis, and you could stream games directly to your Sega Genesis.
What the hell?
And there were certain games that were only available for like a certain playtime. So you could play Sonic 3, but Sonic 3 had just come out and you could only play it for like 2 hours.
I had no idea. I'm on the Wikipedia page. I had no idea this existed.
I never had it, but a friend of mine did, and it was the coolest thing in the world. But you had to have access to like certain, you needed to run like a certain cable into your house, and if you didn't have other things in your house, running the cable literally made no sense. It was a very short-lived thing. I think it was only around for like a year, like a couple years.
It says 94 to 98.
Yeah, all right, it was 4 years. But it was an awesome, awesome thing, and the very few experiences that I had with it were sick. So that kind of experience now, starting then, and then now seeing how they've done it with the Madden series and NHL and stuff like that. I think that the trial option is good. You release it in a way, kind of get some buzz, let people know if it's a game that they want to continue playing, and then if they like the game, you can go. But I'm looking forward to hear your thoughts on this too, because I feel like you may be different on this one.
I'm different on every topic here because I like the games that are on subscriptions. Like MLB The Show came out with Xbox, but I had to have an Xbox for that, and I don't believe it's on PC. And now I don't have the Xbox anymore, so now I can't play it because I'm on PlayStation. So this is where we get into the exclusives, non-exclusive, but whatnot. Now, my PlayStation's sitting here. I don't use it other than to play NHL. Why wouldn't I not use it anymore? Get an Xbox, which comes with EA Play, which I already have a subscription to on my computer, and then I'm not paying double for the subscription, and I could play the EA games every year. Now, on the other side, there's games like, say I just started, Death Stranding. I waited till it was $17.99 to buy it. I wasn't going to buy it as a full game, and I love it. So I think they should do like the movie releases where it comes out full price, but then it decreases. But you're not going to get that with exclusives. You're not going to get that with sports games because they come out every year. This has to be for like the long play, like The Last of Us and all those types of games. So I think I don't know. It's hard to say because the games I would play, this isn't possible, so it would have to be the subscription service.
Okay, all right.
But I don't want to buy two anymore. I'm done with PlayStation.
I was gonna say that's the problem, is that now everyone has a subscription.
I'll
service.
buy Fire Pro World on my PC when it's on sale, and I'll never have to touch the PlayStation again.
Do you remember when like the only big streaming service was Netflix? Do you like go back in the day?
Oh yeah, I used to get the first DVD I had sent to my house was Memento.
Now every network on every channel and every brand has their own streaming service.
Did you do GameFly?
I wanted to, but
I did it.
I did not. I always was very curious in how it worked, but I never actually pulled the trigger and did it.
It was literally Netflix. You had a list of games. If they weren't available, they would send you your number 2. So I remember Call of Duty World at War came out, and it was my number 1. And I'm like, there's no way I'm getting this. And it came to my house the day of release. I was like, holy shit. Damn. And you can keep it as long as you want until you send it back. I think there was a certain point they would just charge you for it. But it was just like, why would I want this game? It has no manual. It came in like a little sleeve. So like you would send it back, but then I just ended up buying the game anyway. But it was cool like that because there's games that are on the list you wouldn't even have thought to buy, like Splinter Cell, like one of the random ones. Like it was I just kept going on and just buying these or just renting these random games for like $9.99 a month, and I would just send them back and get a new one. It was great.
Simpler times, man.
Why can't they do that online though? You get this game for 30 days for $10. Imagine.
Hey, You never know. Maybe something like that could happen. Maybe, John, maybe we need to throw our hat in the ring here.
I feel like we went backwards here, where that
We did.
was a good thing, and then
Yeah.
it went away. But
Yeah.
all right, good question. But we want to hear from everybody else their answer on the soft lock.
Yeah.
So-
Let us know what you think. But John, big, I mean, monumental news that shakes the gaming world. We got to talk about gaming news. Let's go.
Okay, your gaming news for this week. Multiple PlayStation insiders are teasing a really big acquisition coming from Sony in the near future. There's finally a new Among Us update. I didn't even realize that was still a game that finally adds a friends list where you could send and receive friend requests and you could play with your friends, which is very convenient, especially for us when we do these game nights and we have to get the code and all that, blah, blah, blah. Former game that we played here in the archives, Big Bang Pro Wrestling, is available once again now in the Switch store for only $7.99. Now this was an old mobile game we played, and I think we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And you can now enjoy it for only $8. So, but here we go. E3 has been canceled this year. Now that's both digital and in person. Last year, and I think the year before that, they did kind of a digital showcase. That's not happening at all, and they announced that they will return in 2023 with a reinvigorated showcase. George, do you think they're ever coming back?
I mean, it's the showcase for games.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own, like each company has their own big event, but like this was all companies coming together, showing their new games, teasing, sequels, new IPs. I mean, all these things are probably still going to happen. I mean, I would imagine that even without the event happening, that the time of year that this runs is probably still going to be the ideal time for everyone to announce and release and tease new games. So that June, July is probably still going to be the time where all this happens. But it's crazy. I look forward to E3 every year. Obviously, the last 3 years that we've been doing this podcast, we've covered it. Yeah, it's curious to see how games get announced this year.
We have like the PlayStation State of Play, and Microsoft does their thing, but I feel for like the indie devs here and like the PC gamers that don't really get much. If you're not getting E3 where you could be on a bigger stage, even in person, like someone walking by your booth and your presentation, then it's going to be very hard for you to get your reach out.
Yeah, I mean,
Hopefully
crossed.
it comes back. But I
wonder
think if it doesn't, something else will.
I wonder if maybe they'll have something like this at TwitchCon.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do a little expo section at TwitchCon for indie devs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's who's really affected by this. I mean, PlayStation and Microsoft aren't.
They're going to
really,
be okay.
Yeah, they're going to be fine. But all right, games releasing this week: Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga across the board on April 5th. Chrono Cross: The Radical Dreamers Edition for Switch on the 7th. Demio for the PC on the 7th. Slipstream for the PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch on the 7th. And Advanced Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp on Switch April 8th. So I think we're winding down from all the big releases here. But Lego Star Wars, I remember playing through the originals, and they were a lot of fun. But eventually you're like, I don't want to collect these little coins anymore.
highly anticipated game here.
Yeah. Which ones did you play?
I played the original ones, like
so episode what?
Yeah, it's
A New Hope and all those.
No, I think I even played
Okay.
the prequels.
Yeah, I played
The
1, 2,
prequel
and
ones.
3. See, rented from Blockbuster.
Yep.
Or else I would have never played that. And I think I played Lego Batman years ago.
Yeah, I played Lego Batman too. I have some of them on Steam. There was a point where like
They're actually pretty good.
there was a massive sale, and they were like, I don't know, like each game was like $5, and I was just like, it's Star Wars. I might as well
They're
get them.
mindless fun.
Oh yeah. But listen, guys, youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast for all of our weekly playthrough videos, exclusive content, more, including this week's and every other week's game. John, Patreon schedule. What do we got going on?
All right, today you are getting the ad-free version of the show versus both audio and video.
Hi.
GMP64 Reloaded has been uploaded to the archives.
Oh, baby.
Tuesday, you're getting our show notes and GMP Game Over, where we play Feel the Bang. Wednesday, last week you played Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling 95 on Future Endeavor, and this week I'm playing WWF Superstars for the Game Boy. And Thursday, it's episode 2, Wild's World, with our friend TK Wild, which I don't know what shenanigans he's going to get into this week.
When are we going on that onion ring hunt?
Very soon. Friday, Clash and Burn is going to be filmed at the Creator Pro event Great Heights. George, will you be there?
I believe I will be.
All right. Sounds good. And we announced our second GMP64 pay-per-view will be High Stakes April 24th, where we crown the Season 2 World Heavyweight Champion.
And for me, it really is high stakes because I won 2 matches at the last pay-per-view. So it really is high stakes. I gotta come back here.
Got to step it up.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell happened. It's a rare miss on the AIF brand.
I get good internet. I get a good screen, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Maybe I got to upgrade my stuff too. All right. John, would you like to know what we are playing next week? Because
I would, because I heard it's named after me.
The Mega Marks in our Discord have voted, and next week we are playing Pocket Pro Wrestling. Johnny Clash is the perfect wrestler. It is Pocket Pro Wrestling, perfect wrestler, and yeah, I don't know how to feel about this. I have zero expectations. The game stills that I've looked at look.
It's a Game Boy Color game, so.
I don't know. I feel like the Game Boy Color games are always hit or miss. Like sometimes you're like, what the hell? How did I not know about this? This is the greatest game. And then other times you're just like, I can't believe that I just wasted so much of my life playing this game and then recording a podcast talking about it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see you next week. But Georgie, take us home. It's time for WrestleMania Night 2.
Oh, baby. GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for all of our shirt designs. Guys, I have 4 new designs in the tank that I am working on right now. Be on the lookout. They should be coming up any day now. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for all of our exclusive content, show notes, exclusive shows, and everything else John just talked about at GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. Make sure to smack that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you have a product or service that you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. We did it, John.
We did it.
We did it. We made it through this game. We made it through another week. I think it's time for you to point at the sign. Do that thing that you do.
I'm going to use these little Jericho fingers. Game over. Marks.
Oh, I thought those were your actual hands.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future Endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.